Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and it is Friday, and my 9-year-old will be home shortly, and I'm probably going to go throw baseballs to him. I'm tired. Feels like it's been a long week. Now, I think Raoul Pal here makes a very good point. You know, we hear a lot of people talk about diversification and all this type of thing. And I want to make an important what I think is an important point that I have found in my life. With diversification, let's have a discussion about how the wealthy get wealthy. Most of the time, people get wealthy when they do very well at something in particular. Usually, I'm setting aside the people that inherit it, but they start a business, or in some cases, they're a doctor or a lawyer, and they make a lot of money over time in those fields. The rest of the people have to make bets, and to really get wealthy, most of the people I've seen get wealthy, they've made that wealth off of really focusing in on one thing. And he makes this point here because it applies to investing too. The people that are the time to diversify, it depends on what you're trying to accomplish. But for me, that's what I've seen XRP as for a long time. This is my bet. This is the bet. Now, that does not mean that as I go along, there's not going to be other bets that I think can accomplish the same thing. I've always thought that in this whole digital asset space, XRP was going to be my bet, and it has been my bet. It continues to be my bet and will continue to be my bet. Now, that does not mean that once I finally am proven to be right about that bet, that doesn't mean that I won't then diversify and then take 10 or 20% of what I have and make other big bets to do it again, okay? And I'm going to show you some of that thinking here at the end of this video. But he makes the point right here, and it's a very good point for people to understand.
Things I've talked about many times is there's a lot of people who want to trade. They think trading makes money. When you look at people who've built real wealth, it's basically one bet. You know, Bill Gates is who he is because he didn't sell his stock, essentially. You know, and that's the same. People take one clear bet, filter out all of the noise, and just pursue it.
Well, that's what I'm going to tell my children one day. I mean, I've already explained a lot of this to them, but I've made one clear bet. One clear bet is XRP. And I've never questioned that bet. A lot of people question that bet. I've never questioned that bet. Now, I think there's been a lot of, whatever you want to call it, a lot of shenanigans along the way that people and groups that have gone out of their way to try to slow down the development of what XRP represents, because I think there's high stakes. But I think we're literally just talking about percentages. Is XRP going to be 5% successful? Is it going to be 25? Is it going to be 75 or 100? I believe in all of those scenarios because I focused in on this one bet for as long as I have, since 2013 in essence. I believe that in all of those scenarios I will do great. But I think that those percentages are going to be closer to the higher end than the lower end. That's just what I believe. Now, I want to show you this. This right here is the thing I talked about, how the Ledger people or Coinbase is going to integrate. They're partnering with Ledger to build support for Ledger's hardware wallets. And I tweeted this, and I want to make sure everybody knows where I stand on this. I am betting you that this is pre-regulators telling everyone to get into exchanges in some time period or register their devices by linking up somehow. Register them with a legit exchange. That's what I think is going on here. Folks, if you believe that they were ever going to let you have your money hidden on some ledger and they don't know about it and the tax man doesn't know about it, if you think that was a long-term plan of what's going to happen, you can forget it, because the way they're going to control this whole space is the on and off ramps. And you're not going to get on the ramp to be able to get out and sell your stuff unless unless you're known. You're going to have to be a known entity, a known person, and the IRS or whoever the taxing authority is around the world, they're going to make sure they set this up so that they can see who you are, see where the money is. And I've never been under the thought pattern that wouldn't happen. I always use the Ledger Nano S so that Coinbase or whoever wouldn't get hacked and my stuff wouldn't be stolen in the hack. Okay, now, John Deaton had tweeted this out. Brian Brooks could settle the case against Ripple in 15 minutes if given the chance. He would fine them for some early sales in 2013 to 15, declare today's XRP a non-security, then spend more time deciding what to eat for lunch that day. And Brian Brooks replied to him and says, just one correction, I don't eat lunch. So Brian Brooks has emerged a hero this week, and everybody loves what he's saying because he is speaking from a place of common sense, right and wrong, and what's good for the United States of America. Gary Gensler is speaking from some kind of weird agenda. Who knows who is telling him to do what he's doing, because he's not saying anything or doing anything that's representative of something that's good for the United States of America. Now, Warren Davidson was on Fox Business. Check it out.
I think the biggest thing in jeopardy is the ability to own your own assets, self-custody. The idea, this is open source code. Anyone with an internet connection could go download the code and begin operating their own node. Now, you still have to find somebody to transact with. A lot of people are doing an account-based system, companies like Coinbase, for example, or FTX. We're on the panel talking about exchanges where you can buy digital assets, but self-custody is one of the things. So I think the biggest thing in
self-custody is fine, but that doesn't mean that you're not going to have to register your self-custody with the government so that they know where your money is and so that they can tax it. Now, I haven't done Bitcoin Maxis Gone Wild in a while, and so I decided I'd show this Michael Saylor video.
There's only one useful thing that any of us can do every day when we get up. One thing that matters above all. That one thing is convince someone to convert some other form of property into Bitcoin.
Now, I wonder to myself when the camera gets turned off, if he turns to the cameraman and says, "What do you think of that? You think they bought that bull crap?" That's how I picture this guy every day. All right, Empower Oversight. This is that nonprofit organization. What do they call themselves? Let me look. Accountability and Public Integrity through the Power of Information. Empower Oversight sues the SEC for access to the Freedom of Information documents amid crypto conflict of interest concerns. In August, Empower Oversight submitted a detailed Freedom of Information Act request to the SEC seeking any communications related to senior SEC officials and their current and former employees regarding cryptocurrencies. Former senior SEC official William Hinman received millions of dollars in compensation from his former employer, Simpson Thacher, while helping guide the SEC's regulation of cryptocurrencies. Hinman helped promote Enterprise Ethereum during this time at the SEC. The creator of another cryptocurrency known as XRP was later sued by the SEC, which claimed that it was a security causing XRP to lose a quarter of its value. The man who brought the lawsuit against XRP, Mark Berger, left for Simpson Thacher shortly after Hinman did the same. And then we had John Deaton's law firm weighed in. Clayton and Berger sued Ripple and crashed XRP in their final moments at the SEC, then immediately took high-paying jobs backing rival assets that benefited from their official acts. SEC now says Ethics Office had no discussion on either. Why have SEC Ethics Office at all? Okay, and then John Deaton weighs in. What is the SEC hiding? There is no deliberative process privilege that can be claimed related to these documents. There is no attorney-client privilege that applies. All right, then Eleanor Terrett weighs in. To date, the SEC has failed to comply with 6 of the 8 categories of documents in the Empower U.S. FOIA request. Consistent with John Deaton attempts to get similar information from the SEC, they haven't answered him, and they haven't answered me and Charles Gasparino. So the SEC won't answer anybody. Now let's check in. Brad Garlinghouse has been spotted again at the Coin Agenda Conference down in the Caribbean. He looks like he's having a good time. Now, I wanted to show you this because I wanted to kind of talk to my audience very briefly about what I'm thinking and what I'm going to do. I just got done telling you, I have spent, since 2013, I just knew something about this XRP thing. I spent the next years focused on this thing. I am still focused on this thing and will continue to be focused on this thing, XRP and Ripple. But, and that is my one clear bet, okay? Now, what my next clear bets are about to be is this whole metaverse thing. And I'm going to tell you why. I spent, the night before last, I had a glass of wine and I started watching this Mark Zuckerberg, where, last week Facebook had changed their name to Meta, and they had put out this whole video, and he was basically taking you through what Meta is going to be and what the metaverse represents. And so I had this epiphany while I'm watching this. I was mesmerized by it, first of all. Now, I want you to think this through. 4 years now, folks. I'll just take my sons for an example. My soon-to-be 16-year-old, back maybe 3-4 years ago, he and his friends were playing. I can't even remember the name of the game now, but it was all that any of them talked about. And they would all, from their own homes, parachute it onto this island, and they would all have weapons, and then they would fight the bad guys as a team, okay? And my son used to come in and ask me, Dad, I want to buy such and such gun, or I want to buy a skin, and I want to buy this. Now that to me sounded stupid, but I still would let him do that occasionally. And now I have a son who plays games on his iPad, my 9-year-old, and he comes in at least 1 to 3 times a week, and he wants to buy coins for this or this, and it's some game he's playing. It sounds stupid to me, and I let him do it every once in a while, okay? But after watching this Mark Zuckerberg thing on the metaverse, I think there's something much larger. I think the games and all of this is the entryway. I believe this is just me piecing all this together in my mind. Think about it. When we go to dinner, we're all staring at our phones while we're supposed to be talking to people. When your kids are home, they're staring at that iPad. It's almost like we've been in training for this moment that is the metaverse. Now, metaverse is going to refer to all sorts of platforms that are going to have their own metaverses. There are certain ones of them that are duplicating cities like Washington, D.C. But what I think is really going on here is I think that the goal of this whole thing, and I think that they will be successful. Think about how people have been swooped into Facebook and how addicted everybody is to it, and social media itself. I believe there's a transition being made right now into this metaverse, and I believe they're going to suck everybody into this thing. And I believe that the mission here is for 70% of the population, if not more, to literally be sucked into living a large percentage of their life in the metaverse and having parties or playing a card game. I even read an article recently where Bill Gates said that in the next 2 or 3 years, companies will be having meetings in the metaverse where you are literally having a boardroom meeting where your emoji or whatever they call it, your avatar, will be sitting at a table and you'll be talking as yourself, and you'll be talking to your boss he has his own avatar or emoji, whatever they call it. Anyway, the point is is that inside of these worlds, it's going to be a whole life in itself. Now, folks, I was telling somebody today, because I see it in my town every day. Everybody's trying to follow the Joneses. All the women want to have a nicer car than their friends, and they all talk about who's got what and whose kid goes to the best private school and who lives in the fancy house. Oh, well, they live over there, and how much that house cost and all that stuff. I believe that this next generation, and probably they're going to suck in a lot of older people too, is going to be the same thing inside of this metaverse. People are going to be talking about the house that so-and-so lives in, and the price of that house will be ultimately like an NFT, and you will be able to buy it. There will be digital assets, and I can name some of them for you, and I will. But there's going to be digital assets that are used to buy these things, and the prices will fluctuate and go up, and the real estate will have value just like it does in the real world. Okay, I believe that's where this world is going. I'm going to resist going into the metaverse myself, but what I am going to do on this channel, because I do have an audience that's comprised mainly of 40 to 60-year-olds, which is what I am. So, but I believe that there's going to be a lot of people who aren't necessarily going to be participating and don't necessarily understand why someone would want to spend money inside of something like that instead of just doing it in the real world. I think there's going to be a large percentage of the population who thinks like that. Well, my mission here when I'm talking about the metaverse is going to be to make those people understand, as well as the ones that are participating, make those people understand that it doesn't matter if you or I think that that's stupid or not stupid. What matters is there's real world money that's going to be made in the metaverse and off of the metaverse. And I personally, on this channel, am going to be making a study of it, and I will begin to talk about it. And I'm going to start today with the first one. I've talked about it before on this channel, but it's important that you understand. This is called Decentraland, okay? Decentraland is a digital currency group investment, just like how I've talked about Ripple and XRP. When you hear me talking about something having to do with the metaverse, it's going to be legit. It's going to be people with real venture capital funding. It's going to be companies and things where there's real money behind it, not Mickey Mouse stuff, okay? Not some meme thing, but real stuff where real millions and billions are behind it. And for those reasons, I'll see them as something I'm deciding to invest in. This is the first one I'm showing you. Decentraland is setting up all kinds right now. These guys, they have developers, I think, all over the world that are developing on this and creating all sorts of landscapes and different things inside of this thing. And they have a digital asset that I actually bought some of this week. It's called Mana. You can go to CoinMarketCap right now. Let me hit the refresh. Mana, you can buy it on Coinbase, by the way. It's at $3.38. And Mana, I'm going to take you to the marketplace right now. You can also use the Mana to buy the things you're going to use in this metaverse, okay? But there is also, if I can find it here, where did it go? Let's see. Oh, here it is. Parcels and estates. They have a literal map of land that you can go and buy. Let's zero in on one. Let's look at this one. This is land that you can actually buy. The price is 600,000 mana on this piece of land right here. 600, that's unbelievable right there. But you can actually go in here and you can sign in and you can buy parcels of land. And what is going to literally happen inside of these worlds is people are going to be building just like they do in your real world. And then there's going to be people that are doing all sorts of things. And I highly encourage you to go watch Mark Zuckerberg. If you want to really get an idea of what is coming, folks, I want you to go in here. So what I'm doing is I'm making a study myself and for the people on my channel that from this day forward, I'm going to start sprinkling it in some of what I talk about, the metaverse, okay? And this right here is where I'm starting. Decentraland. I bought some Mana this week. I'm not telling you you should. I'm just telling you I bought some. And the idea is Mana is going to be used. Mana is going to be used inside of this metaverse. And so the concept is that's real utility. So as Mana is being used and there's more and more people coming into this metaverse, hence, hopefully the price goes up. That's why I'm buying it. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for informational purposes only. Please tell your friends and family to hit the like, subscribe, and guess what? Tell your friends and family that, and I totally butchered my ending because I was watching somebody calling me, but anyway, tell your friends and family that the digital asset investor has entered the metaverse.